to be back in Sweden, and it's nice to be back on my live streaming. And today I am going to share with you some of my experience if I were to be out of a job tomorrow. And in fact, in my life, I did get out of job for quite a while, especially after moving here in Sweden. It was really difficult to get job, and I will share with you some of the things that I did while I was out of job. And I'm going to give you guys some tips. A lot of people, they may think that, oh, out of job, no money, then how, right? So actually, if you are able to look at this in a different light, instead of being defeated, you can actually turn this unemployment opportunity into a business opportunity. And I'm not asking you to start a business. I'm just giving you some ideas so you could think about it. Maybe these are the ideas that you already have in the back of your mind. You just don't have the chance to try it. And as you guys know, this is the really, I would call this really uncertain time. A lot of people might be out of job. And I think this is the biggest concern of many that are maybe currently looking at other alternative, already start searching job, or maybe the company already hint them that this company is not going to do well. So I think this is very important that we are prepared, because when you are prepared, you will not be afraid to if this happen. So I'm going to share with you some of my personal experience being somebody who are from Singapore, moving to Sweden. I moved to Sweden 28 years ago. Uh, During my unemployment time, how I manage, how I handle my unemployment, and how's the situation here that for me during my unemployment. So I'm going to share with you my personal story, and later I'm going to give you some 10 things that you can do during this time of unemployment, and also giving you guys some tips. I think there were about 10 tips, like looking at this opportunity and turn them to your benefit. So welcome, my name is Estee. I'm a Singaporean living here in North Sweden. I am a forager, I'm a Airbnb host, and I'm also a YouTuber who is turning 60 this year. So welcome. I want to give you a little chat here. So hopefully you might find this information helpful. Let's have a little drink first. First of all, let me share with you my personal experience. Being Singaporean, I'm not highly educated. It is like almost impossible for me to get a job, I mean, in the corporate level. In Singapore, I used to work as a property agent, insurance consultant, a secretary, and also somebody who worked in the office in marketing, and also I was an event host. So jobless in Singapore, there is no way. There's not a chance that you can get jobless. And if you get sorry, excuse me, and if you get jobless in Singapore, there's not so much long of the time, because there is a lot of job opportunity in Singapore. And during the time I was during the 1980s, there was plenty of job. So I don't think so there was one day when I was jobless in Singapore, but in Sweden, direct when I came here, I became jobless immediately. It was really, really tough for somebody who are used to working and earning an income, and suddenly my income is all gone. And luckily that time I have a little bit of saving, and when I moved to Sweden, I have my ex-husband who was studying at the university. So money was really, really tight. So I remember, I felt like I need to do something to help out my husband or the household income financially. So I sold bread in the village. This village is very small. So during that time, my ex-husband, was, sending advertisement from house to house. So I told him, I said, since you're going from house to house, all the letterbox, why don't you help me to print out some leaflets, whereby people can look at it and say, oh, maybe they might need fresh bread. Because I noticed the houses in Sweden are very far apart. And if you don't have a car, you're gonna have problem because you might want to, take a bus to the city or to buy. So I noticed this problem, and there was a lot of people who are older people who live by themselves during the cold winter. They are unable to go out. So I have this business idea. Hey, why not I bake bread? Since I wasn't really even good at baking bread, and because I'm being pushed into this situation where I really need the money. So when you are in that situation, somehow you are more creative, you are more enthusiastic, and you are more ambitious. And I think that this is the energy that a lot of people just miss out. They thought that, oh, I'm jobless, I'm nobody wants me. And then they get depressed, and then they start drinking and doing all kinds of nonsense. So for me, it was like a wake up call for me. I started a bread business at home. I don't even have a proper oven. So I just told my mother-in-law, I said, I want to do this business. So, and we already got orders from people who live in the countryside. So they were like placing order. They were calling my husband because at that time I didn't even have a phone. They were calling my ex-husband and they were placing orders. So I said, oh my God, I don't even know how to bake. How? So I asked my mother-in-law to show me how to bake. So she was very kind and patient. So she taught me, okay, this is what you need and this is how you calculate, how much you should charge. I sold this kind of bun. They call it frale. It means like morning breakfast bun. And the one that my mother-in-law made was really delicious. It's really soft in the inside and it's high in fiber. It is made of flaxseed, which is really, really healthy. So I add in all these costs and then I calculate. I said, wow, this bread is going to be expensive. But because during that time, I would think to myself, I will not charge people that high for, that few bread. But my mother-in-law said, this is Sweden, you must do the Swedish way. So at the end, after my first delivery, I was so happy. Even though it was just 10 orders, I felt so motivated. And then I try to improve my skill, change the recipe a bit, so that it is not as sweet, so people can order the bread without having to worrying about what is inside. So I also written what are the ingredients are there inside. And I think that is really, really important because people want to know what they are putting themselves into, right? So eventually, this is like a word of mouth because when nobody did this kind of business in Sweden, and I think I am the first one who ever started that concept. So by word of mouth, from one spread to the other, and then the countryside, right? If you want one customer that is really satisfied, then they will tell their neighbor or their friends, oh, order from this girl, if you're staying around here, she will deliver to your place. And because my ex-husband was delivering the advertisement leaflet, so it was very convenient. There was no extra cost for us in the delivery because he got a petrol allowance from the company that he worked with. So the business was really good, and I was like, oh my God. The only problem that I have is to wake up very early, like 3 o'clock in the morning, to prepare the bread. And because I have a really small oven, so I really have to, train my patience to do. So what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever the situation is, I think when we are forced in a very dark corners, or when we don't have resource, we are forced to do this. We are forced to how to say it, swim, like somebody push you in the water and then you start to swim. Like the airport, is it weird? Okay, so this is my experience, and I think in Sweden, I was quite lucky because in Sweden, when you are jobless, you are supported by the union. From the beginning, when I first arrived, I was jobless, and then I started this bread business, but I knew that I couldn't continue for long because, even though the orders was quite good, but then the profit wasn't so good. But I was thinking maybe just get some income that is enough to cover, and I wasn't really calculating how much money we need, and luckily our rental was very cheap. So we, got over the financial issue, and it was tough. And during that time, my ex-husband was planning to go to the university, and we have to move to Umeå, which is about uh, 15 miles from here, 15 Swedish miles from here. And we have to find an apartment, and we have to, get a job. So when I moved there, I worked in the Chinese restaurant being a waitress, even though the pay was very little, but I thought, at least I have a job. Sometimes we have to think, you don't have a proper full-time job, but at least a half-time one will still able to support, at least mentally. You're not so worried. At least there's some. So you just need to be clever with the money, and I'm sure you can get over with that. But when I was working in the restaurant, I wasn't so happy because the pay was very little. And I told myself, I said, what am I good at? What am I good at? I said, okay, I'm good in doing craft. Then let's do a craft business. And luckily that time I managed to save a little bit of money. So I started an online business, and it's a scrapbooking material online business. I think I was the first two or third company that started here in Sweden. That business was blooming because everybody, that scrapbooking business was like at the beginning, and it was blooming so fast. Business was really, really good. I was busy, sending orders in the middle of the night. But then my daughter, who was still a baby then, needed my attention. So after 4 years, I decided to quit because I felt like, I was neglecting her. I didn't have enough sleep. I was, working my, AS off, and it was not working. So luckily, my ex-husband told me, he said, you have to be in the union so that, you are being protected if you want to, be jobless, if you happen to be jobless. So in Sweden, we have this union that you can join, but you need to join them for at least 1 year and work for at least 1 year, or own your own business for at least, I don't know, 2-3 years. Then you are entitled this kind of benefit. So I was really lucky. And we have this support for temporarily, because that time my husband was studying and there was no income. So this income was enough for us. So like I said, it's really, really a good way if you look at it. So now I'm going to give you 10 things that you should do. Or rather, if you lost your job tomorrow, and what you should be doing. And I hope these 10 tips is helpful. I have them on my paper. So I'm going to just simply share with you some of the ideas I've written down. I think first of all, don't panic. Depending on your situation, if you are single, it's okay. You can still manage for a while. But if you have a family, like with kids, and if your wife is housewife and you are the only sole breadwinner, then this could be a problem. That is why I said, from the broad beginning of this channel, I always advise my audience. I say, save money, save money. 30% of your income, if you want to prepare yourself, you must prepare yourself for a raining day, because you never know what is going to happen to you. If you lose a leg or you lose a hand, the government is not going to support you through the whole life. In Sweden, yeah, maybe the government will help you, but then, you don't want them. You don't want to depend on them too, right? So I think don't panic. If you are having a family, you must calculate how much money you need. And then look at your bank account. Oh my God, I'm shortage of, whatever amount. And then you must think, okay, how do I make it up? Of course, it is very, how to say, devastated if you lose your job and your boss telling you, oh, bye-bye, tomorrow don't need to come. It's very difficult, I understand. But I think the most thing is that don't make decision fast. I know you want to quickly find another job, but I think that you should, take one step back and think. Of course, you have to keep looking for job, but you don't have to stress out. Just stay in focus, and then, work out a very realistic plan. And I think you first of all have to think, what are the expenses that I can cut? For example, if I have a Netflix, I'll remove it. If I have a glass subscription, sunglasses or whatever glasses subscription, I will just remove it. If I have a newspaper or telephone that is too expensive subscription, then I'll try to go to the company and negotiate for a cheaper plan. Or if I eat out, instead of eating out, don't eat out. Just plan, okay, eat at home, no food delivery. If you need to go and buy food, if you can take the bicycle with a basket, do that. If you can't, maybe, you have to buy at least once a month or twice a month. I think that was how we survived also during the time when I was jobless. I think we only shop for food like once a month. And then when we shop for that food, I really plan, like how much I need for that month. And sometimes we can eat until our fridge is totally empty. Then I'll continue to replenish the food. So I always work like on a budget. Okay, I know I have 2,000 crown, and then I only can afford 500 crown per week. And how am I going to feed my family for 500 crown? Then I calculate what are the things that I must have, what are the things that I don't need. So I just scratch off those things. And I think sometimes all this small amount of money, you might think that, oh, that's only a little bit. But if you add on all this subscription, it's going to be a lump sum, that you might need. You might need that money to survive. So that is only one of the strategy. And I think also food-wise, if you are a family of 3 or 5, you really have to plan. I've seen people, when I'm shopping in the grocery shop, nowadays, when they buy, they think. Last time, when I go to the shopping supermarket, people always have their trolley full of food. Always full. And I was wondering, how come Swedish people buy so much food? Do they even need so much food? I don't understand. And then when you visit their home, they open the pantry, all the things fall down. And you understand, okay, They are hoarders. They like to hoard food. But then I understand also, especially if you live in the countryside, you need to have a big pantry where you can, store all your food so that you don't have to go to the shop too often, which is a really smart plan. And also, if you can, try to grow your own food, because I know this may be difficult. I'm staying in a small apartment, right? So how do I do that? So recently I did a video about how I learned how to do sprouting on some beans, and there's no excuse. Even though my kitchen is quite big, but I only have a very small window, and if I can cultivate my small little bean, I'm sure you can do that too. It's just a matter of planning. I didn't have enough space on my window, so I pull out a table and just push it near. So when you are in that situation, you become very creative and smarter. So I think that is not a bad idea too, right? To sometimes take one step back and say, hey, maybe this is something that I will learn. So guys, tell me which country you are watching from, and what is the situation for employment in your country. Is it unemployment rate very low or just okay? I'm sure a lot of people are having problem because nowadays a lot of jobs are taken away by AI, and now company are having problem exporting, importing. So I would think that there will be a lot of job that is going to be vanished. I think when we are put into this situation, we will be very resourceful. I know that because I've been through that. And I think when we become more aware of what we really need, so when we shop, we try to shop for things that are cheap, right? So for me, I find that besides growing your own food, and I think when we shop, now let me just check on my bread. Okay. Smart shopping is very important. Sometimes when we compare prices, like fresh vegetables and frozen vegetables, which one is more hold longer? Of course, the frozen vegetables hold longer. I would I would buy more frozen vegetables because I know for the situation now in Sweden, even though the government is saying, oh, we are going to reduce down on the tax for the food, but then still the transportation cost is going to come. It's coming, and we just don't have any clue about that. So I think we have to learn how to be smart in planning our food. And food plan, maybe a lot of people may think, oh, that is not a very big amount, we just have to eat lesser. No, when you are in a, like a, what do you call that, in a bad situation, you don't have the income, I think that is where you should learn how to take care of yourself even more, by sleeping, by resting. Because when you were working, you may not even have enough time to sleep. So now that you are jobless, you have more time. So you have more time to rest, more time to sleep. And when you have this opportunity, you will be more clear. I don't know whether this makes sense to you or not. And if you are jobless right now, I think this is at least the few basic things you should think about, right? You are thinking around. Another way I would do if I lost my job and if I know that my money is not enough, I will sell things that I don't need. There are lots of things that is hanging around the house. Some of them is not even useful. So things like clothes, things like electronic items, maybe an extra kitchen tools, hobby equipment. I think this is very important because all this money you may be selling at a loss, but then at least you are getting the income into your pocket. And with that, it's also a little bit of added confidence and security. I know of one lady who sell resale clothes, and I know that this is very, very popular nowadays, that they buy clothes at the garage sales or flea market really cheaply, and then they think, oh, they know that this is a branded items, and then they sell them with this app. In Sweden it's called Vent. So they sell it at a higher price for profit. So actually a lot of youngsters are now living on that. And I think that was a very smart idea. I even have a neighbor who is a pensioner. He is busy selling clothes or things or antiques that he are quite interested in, or some collectible items. He buy them cheap at the flea market, and then he take photos, very simple photos, and then he sell them on eBay. And he's literally living on that. So you see, there are also opportunity where you could just think, oh, after doing this for a while, maybe, it's not a bad idea to even think if that is profitable, or not say profitable, but at least that is coming some income. And when you are starting a business like that, you cannot expect like, boom, the business is going to grow. It will gradually fix your financial problem now. But then if you do it more and often, and the more you sell, the more motivate you become, and the more better you are with this skill. I one stage tried to sell on Facebook, because Facebook you can marketplace, you can sell anything very cheaply. And we have a lot of stuff at home. I was not employed during that time. So I was thinking, why do I need all these things? So I put up, just randomly a few, because I didn't know that this is a golden opportunity, and that during that time, Facebook Marketplace just started. So a lot of people that been looking for things, and they were sorting for things. And I think during this uncertain time, when people are having financial problem, where they look out for their things? Marketplace, eBay, those places where they can find cheap stuff, an old washing machine that is still working. So I think sometimes we have to look at it. Oh, maybe that is not a stupid idea to maybe start something. At least there's dollar coming in. It's like creating a temporary breathing room so that you could breathe out a bit. When I was jobless, I developed a skill, not only survival skill. I developed a skill in cooking because I have no choice. When I first moved to Sweden, I couldn't even cook a rice. But when we are put in that situation, we are forced to learn. So during my jobless time, I have some free time. So I like to look at YouTube, and then I say, wow, I didn't know we could make food so delicious. So my cooking skill somehow developed. I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but I'm always interested in eating and cooking, and I find it's really fun and really challenging. Gardening, I suck at it. So even now, I tell myself I stayed here for 28 years. I think only for the past 5-10 years, then I started to learn how to do a bit of, not gardening. I'm more interested in planting things that I can eat, not something that look nice. So I don't know about you. So I was literally learning, and I tell you, the first few years before that, I flopped. every time I plan, hey, how come the thing never turn out at all? So you have to, give your chance sometimes and opportunity to learn all this. And if you can, I do not know if you are planning to start a YouTube channel and if you are jobless, there are people who are like you, who are looking for solution. And do you know, by the way, nowadays, all those small YouTubers that are very authentic, I have seen many uncles and some youngsters who are out of job. They become very, very popular in YouTube. They don't even have a proper camera. They don't even know what lighting is. And they could just explode in YouTube. And if you get a really good audience that follow you, that has the same problem or the issue that they are looking to solve, and you could fix that problem, you are going to be very popular very soon, because nowadays YouTube, they are currently actively looking for small creators and helping small creators to be successful, especially if they're authentic, and especially if they are trying to help other people with their own problem. And these are the things that we are facing nowadays. That's why I noticed these few days, I think one of my video which I post last week got a lot of view. And I think it is because I just share, what I feel about how to save money if if this uncertain time is getting worse and worse, and we're going to be affected financially. So you see, I think YouTube are secretly helping me to push my video out, which I'm really, really grateful. And I'm really, really grateful that you are still here and watching this video and still following this channel. My heart. So I'm giving back, and I feel like this is my way of giving back and getting this satisfaction, that I'm able to, share some of the tips that I did and what I have experienced, things that works, and it might works for you too. So thank you for the subscribe, thank you for the thumbs up, and I'm really hoping that you will subscribe. I think maybe also when you are in a jobless situation, mentally we become very demoralized, how to say it? Maybe angry, sad, disappointed, they felt useless. I don't think so we should hang on to that feelings. It's stupid to do that. You know what you should do? You should beat the shit out of it and go out and reach out for people who have the same situation and try to resolve that situation. Recently, I've been going to Facebook, and I noticed there's a lot of groups that are for people who are recently being laid off, who are staying in the car, and who are living like on the street. And these are really good group that you should join. And not that you expect people to help you, but sometimes when you come across stories that is similar to you, and you can share your ideas. And when you share your ideas, you will somehow feel like, hey, I'm good, I can at least tell people how I deal with the situation. And that will definitely help to boost up your confidence and make you feel like, oh my God, I can help. And this feels really good, right? So I think sharing ideas, sharing emotion online is really very important. Join a group, motivate, help each other. I think that is a very smart move. If I were to be jobless, I would probably join group that maybe around my age and know what I've been through. And if I have the time, I will share my experience. And I think that is a very good way to like lift yourself up. Some people say, oh, maybe I will find another job. Maybe that job is better. I don't know about better, but I just know that you mustn't give up. You must just fight on it. You cannot give up. And sometimes temporary job is also very useful because that also help you to reduce stress, maybe maintain a routine or protect your confidence. You don't want to feel like you are you are useless or you cannot contribute to the society or your family. And I want to share with you 10 hustles that I found out myself. And I think this can be something that is maybe useful if you find that you want to keep that as a side hustle while looking for your job. This is what you can do. Selling homemade food. Recently, I noticed there's a lot of home cafe, they call it, in Singapore, whereby couples, usually they are couples or one person, one members of the family, start a cafe. He or she might be interested in baking and always dreaming about starting a cafe. So in Singapore, we allow that in the apartment. This is one idea. If people who likes to bake, maybe you could put up a picture of your baking, your sourdough, and then try not to sell it on the Facebook marketplace. Just sell it to those people that you know. Because I think that is where you should start. Because if you sell them on the marketplace, people are going to ask you, hey, did you get permit and all that, right? So, but if you sell them to people that you know and people know that your situation, they will be more likely to help you out, not to seek them for empathy or what. But you are working, hard to provide your family. And I'm sure many people will be more willing to help. I will help. If somebody were to tell me, hey, I need to sell this bread to support my family, I will help. Gardening and planting. This is one more idea that I really like. I've been planting a lot of seeds lately, and I noticed that, I don't know if it is a very common idea. I know that a lot of market, we're having this summer coming, and on the 14th of this month, there is a spring market, they call it. Our summer starts really late. So they have this spring market where you could sell plant. So I think that could be one way. One packet of plant, I think, is about between 20 to 30 Swedish krona. And there are hundreds of seeds. So when I was planting my aubergine the other day, I have actually 40, the plant, and it is growing very well. So I was telling myself, should I go to this market and sell all this? Because I really don't need so many plants. So one plant, we could easily sell them between 40 to 60, depending on what kind of plant it is and how big it is. So that could be some income, because if it's just like one small packet of seeds and you could sell like 30 crown even, that is quite good profit also. And if you have a green finger, you know how to plant, and you are very good in all these green green room kind of knowledge, you can also start like a small workshop to teach people how to plant, how to, the hacks, how you should plant certain plant and how you should maintain them so that they could grow healthy. I think that is one good way also. If I have the skill, I will definitely do that, because a lot of people, including myself, are looking for that kind of course. And I think they have one at the Red Cross. I saw that last month. But then when we went there, it was like, oh, they don't really tell you exactly, like what kind of plant and what kind of condition you should have to in order to plant this successfully. So it was just basic survival course. Number 3 is during this uncertain time, people maybe kick off from their big house. So they are looking opportunity to size down. If you have an extra room, or maybe even if an outhouse that has a small apartment, why not rent it out to people who are looking for a cheaper alternative? We are currently running a Airbnb. For us, it's very much depending on the factory and the industry around us. And also this autumn, I am planning to guide my guests in the forest, teach them how to pick mushrooms. Maybe we could come back and cook together and get to learn all kinds of different edible mushrooms. So that is also one of my business plan. I don't know if how many people will be interested, but it would be nice to know through my social media, because there's been some people who asked me, but I just wasn't really serious about that plan a few years ago. And recently, there's been a lot of inquiry, and I hope that I could do at least one or two workshop this year. So if you're interested, let me know. All right, I'll try to put you into this list, and we'll see if we could go out to the forest and have some fun. Let me see. And even if you don't have a like a space, extra space to earn extra income, if you check on Airbnb, there is an Airbnb experience. You may be good in fishing, or you may be good in gardening, or you may be good in cooking, or you may be good in like a certain skill, or a course, or yoga, or Tai Chi. There are people on Airbnb experience looking for that kind of course. And it's an extra income, and you can charge whatever you are comfortable with or profitable for you. I think that is a really, really good opportunity, because there are a lot of people looking for ways to learn new skill. And by meeting up with you personally, they will benefit more, because I don't want to learn things online. I want to learn things. I want to meet that person and I want to learn. I have lots of questions which I need to be answered, right? So I think that could be a very, very good way to deal with income loss. Reselling items is also another way. I think I did mention earlier on, you can sell clothes. If you have a furniture, and if you are good in repairing the furniture, if you know how to help people to fix vacuum cleaner or a telephone or a TV, you can offer services like that, because I think people will need that, because they cannot afford to buy new appliances during this uncertain time. So you see, this is business opportunity, right? Repair bicycle, electrical items, or being offer a handyman service. Like if your neighbor have a door that cannot close, you say, hey, I can offer you this business, I can offer you this service, all you need is to pay me. And they don't want to get a professional help because it's too expensive in Sweden. So some useful skill can be very valuable, especially during times like that. Or if you're good in cooking, you can start cooking classes. Or if you are good in certain language, you can teach people. There are apps that enable you to earn extra side hustle by teaching people your mother tongue. And if you're good in financial, you can offer financial advice for people. And also maybe pet sitting, taking care of a dog, of people who are traveling, cats, or being a housekeeper. That is also one way where you could get money. Moving houses, cutting grass, removing snow. These are all business opportunity. Decluttering. Some people, I'm a declutterer. I think I should fit the decluttering kind of business. Help people to reorganize their cabinet, their kitchen. I'm not saying I'm very expert, but I think I can be quite fast in doing this kind of work because I can see straight away what are the things I should group them together. So, okay, cleaning service. There's tons of opportunities just here. Okay. For me, I feel like if people who are jobless in Sweden, actually there are a lot of business that they can start. A lot of Swedes, they are forager, so they could easily guide any tourist into the forest, like maybe cooking Swedish food, teach people how to cook Swedish food or bake bulla. That's one way also, because I saw that on Airbnb they do have this, and the demand was quite high. I know this time is very stressful. I can understand. I think we have to put ourselves first place, taking care of our health, taking care of our mental health, not just mental health, physical also. And I think when we exercise, we will feel better about ourselves, eat properly. Some people eat emotionally, which is really bad. Get more sunlight now that the summer is here. Sunlight really improve our mental health. Do you know that? I was When I came back from Malaysia, I was having this dark time. I couldn't handle the darkness. I was very easily irritated, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't do more video during that time because I just didn't have the energy. And recently I found out that if you sit in front of the window, wake up, or even if you're walking to work in the morning, it's not that hot. If you have more sun, because the sun is giving you the energy. I know some country are very, very hot. That's why I suggest if you want to do this in the morning. And I can tell you, it has helped me a tremendous, because I really feel there's a difference. When I get up from my bed after I did my exercise. I open the window and I just stand there for at least 5-10 minutes just to get the sunlight. And it really, really helped because I felt like it's giving me energy, all the positive vibes. Try that. Talking to others also is very important. Sometimes a lot of people I notice here in Sweden, they have a difficulties in opening themselves up. For us Asian, we are like, oh, if I have a problem, I'll tell the whole world. But in Sweden, it's like a taboo to tell people your problem. So in that sense, people here, they keep to themselves. A lot of them mentally, they are not in very good place, and that's a shame because they were told not to share, or they learn that it's a taboo to share their personal problem. So for me, I find that if you can find yourself, a friend, or even talking to yourself might help. It's very important that you do that you have a conversation, not like, isolating your thoughts. Sometimes if you're not out there, if you don't have somebody to talk to, it could be a problem because, there's nobody. You felt like you there's nobody who can understand you. You will feel very depressed over a very short time, and that is not good. So I think it is good that you open yourself up. Okay, let me just see. I think I have covered most of the thing. Some of you might find shameful also. Like, if you lose your job, you don't want to tell anyone because losing job, people who lose their job, they have so much, they blame themselves. Most of them, they blame themselves. Oh, is it I'm useless? Why the company doesn't want me? They may find themselves are like a failure, or their fear for the future. So if you are in that situation where you felt like every day is going to be just heavier and heavier, I hope this video will somehow inspire you a little bit, at least a little bit. And you are not the only one. You're not alone in this. There's lots of people around this world are suffering. And we have to help each other out. We need each other. And by being able to talk about that, it was quite difficult for me to even talk about from my beginning about my jobless situation. It's kind of difficult because I have pride. I don't want people to look at me as I'm useless, but now I think that, this is really nice. It felt really nice to just release this stress, this fear, incompetence you thought you are. You're not. Everybody's having this problem, and everybody should be prepared. And if you are prepared, then you shouldn't have any problem. I think I've spoken for about 1 hour now. Yeah. So if you watch this and you find that this information is useful to anyone, I would really love for you to share this with the person that you care about, and also give a hype to this video or live stream. And I hope to see you. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to send me an email to shopaholic.com Gmail. Somebody's been trying to send me a messenger because I don't have messenger on Facebook. So I will not receive anything from there. So please don't try to send me on my Facebook. Send it to me on my video, on my, what do you call that, the home page, where you will see home, and then you scroll down, there's an email address there. You could send it there and ask me if you want to keep this confidential. I'll try to answer. There was some, I think there was two person who have seen my video 2 weeks ago. There was one video that I did about giving people some tips before they move to Sweden, what are the things that they should think about. So I think I did receive two requests from the messenger, but because I don't have the messenger app, I could only receive the notification. So I saw these two person, but I was not friend with them and I cannot add them. So please, all right, write to me on sugarholic.com, gmail.com. I will try my best. And if you are looking for more ideas about how to save money, what are the things that I buy and what are the things that I don't buy anymore during this uncertain time, I'm going to include the video on this description below, so you could go and check it out. I'm slowly starting to gather all these video, all these ideas, how you can save money. I'm not saying that I'm a frugal living kind of auntie or person, but I find that this is like a message for me, that I realize, wow, suddenly my view is very high during my last two video, and I think maybe that is a message that I should listen to, and maybe there's a lot of people out there looking for answer or inspiration, and I really hope that this video is helpful. I want to know which country you're watching from, and don't forget to say hi. Even if you have, even if this live stream has ended, I still hope that I could hear a hi from you, from which country you're watching from, and I hope to see you in my next. What is my next video, you wonder? Our plan now is to move to the summer house because now it's really dark and cold. We don't really feel like being there when it is so cold. So we plan to move there next week. So I'm in the process of organizing the cottage, and I'm busy filming it. I want to tell you that you don't need to spend any money to make a place really cozy and nice. And also, I hope that this is not necessary for anyone with cottage. It's just anyone who have the interest in interior designing, or maybe just want to save money on decoration and need some tips, and maybe need some inspiration. I hope. I see you in my next. Have a nice Sunday if you are in the morning in US, I bet. And I'll see you in my next. Bye bye.